ओम सर्वधर्म स्थापकस्त्वं सर्वधर्म स्वरूपकः आचार्याणां महाचार्यो रामकृष्णाय ते नमः. We are studying Sri Ramakrishna, the great master, as the spiritual teacher, second part. And in that, we started yesterday reading the fourth chapter. The name of that chapter is As the Spiritual Teacher Concluded. And we have seen that in Bengali it is the remaining things and the last thing. So, last thing will be how Guru Bhav culminates into Divya Bhav. So now we are reading about Sri Ramakrishna's special features. And that fifth para was that for God also, some things apparently impossible, that does not make God's power less, that says that he will not have these desires at all. So Thakur could not see through that microscope. So we are now taking a para 6. The master saw all persons and things in two different ways, from two different planes of consciousness. That is the avatar. You can see both. The plane of non-dual consciousness and that of the ordinary one. The first is the plane of supersensuous vision and the second of the sensuous. Oh. The same para two headings are there. Advaita Bhava. Yeah. The higher the plane of consciousness to which the master's mind soared by giving up body consciousness, etc., that is what I thought. Second plane is not a fixed plane, first plane. Not everything from the Advaita point of view. But so many levels of superconscious things are there from there. So the higher the plane of consciousness to which the master's mind soared by giving up body consciousness, etc., body consciousness is the lowest. Etc. means later on Indriya's mind, all levels are lost. The more extraordinary and celestial were the visions attained in those planes. Celestials mean Daivi. And as he was completely separated from the body, when he ascended the highest plane of non-dual consciousness, his heartbeats and the functioning of the senses stopped for some time, and the body lay like a corpse. Now in this, I want to point out something. First he says loss of body consciousness. And the second sentence he says completely separated from the body. So long as the Advaita Bhavabhumi is not reached, there is some touch with the body. If not with the gross body, then subtle body. So it's totally separated from body means on levels of body consciousness gone. His heartbeats and the functioning of the senses stopped for some time. And the body lay like a corpse. All the modifications of the mind, such as thought, imagination, etc., came to a standstill. Now, there are various waves of the mind. He has explained in that Bhava Samadhi chapter that thought, imagination, etc. And he dwelt in absolute existence, knowledge, bliss. Again, gradually coming down from the highest plane to lower and lower ones, the master, like all other people, had in his mind once more the idea, this body is mine, and only then he saw with his eyes, heard with his ears, touched with his tactile sense, thought with his mind, and so on. So when he assumed that this body is mine, then Indriya started working. Ordinary men see everything in the second way. An eminent philosopher of the West, Ralph Waldo Emerson, he has said, consciousness ever moves along a graded plane. This very few people in the West know, but Emerson was influenced by Indian transcendentalism, Bhagavad Gita and all books. So he understood this point. An eminent philosopher of the West had a little indication of the human mind ascending to and descending from the plane of ecstasy, and expressed the opinion that the consciousness within the human body does not always remain in the same state. This view, it is superfluous to say, is reasonable and approved by the seers of ancient India. But as the ordinary man has not ascended to that highest non-dual plane of consciousness for an infinitely long time, anadikals, he has altogether forgotten it and has acquired the firm opinion that knowledge can be had only through the senses. So this is ordinary man. He has never experienced that Advaita. And so he knows only one plane of consciousness. And all the problems start from here. The so-called rationalists and Bhogwadis and everybody. Free from anxiety, he has therefore, apparently free from anxiety, he has therefore been living in the sea of the world, casting his anchor there. The world is compared to a sea. And if a ship has cast the anchor, it cannot move. Casting the anchor there, so to say, it is figurative language. You know a story on casting the anchor? Brahman Swami used to say. Yatishwaran Maharaj told us. 4 drunkards, they sat in a boat in the night and rowed it throughout the night. And morning they saw they were where they were, because they had not removed the anchor. So the anchored boat does not move. The Adhikarika persons, the teachers of the world, known as the incarnations of God, like the Master, the Vedas and the other Shastras teachers, are born from time to time in order to destroy this delusion by behaving in their own lives in a contrary way. Suppose they are dealt with only in the higher plane, then we would have thought they are strange beings, nothing to do with us. And that is why they deal with both the planes. Why they deal on the ordinary plane? that they are like us. And then they rise to the higher plane. So we know the truth of the higher plane. That is the speciality of the avatar. The example of the master's two kinds of vision. Anyway, it is now clear that in the eyes of the master, the things and persons of the world did not, as is the case with us, always seem to be those things and persons only. We call them these things and persons. But that he always saw them as they looked when seen from higher and higher planes of consciousness. So again and again he repeats higher and higher planes of consciousness. That is the speciality of Thakur. It was therefore impossible for him to have, like us, the one-sided opinion or mental attitude with respect to any object of the world. Opinion or mental attitude. And this was why we could not understand his words and ideas, though he could understand ours, because he is seeing from our plane also, and he is seeing from our plane also. We know a man, a cow, and a mountain merely as such. He saw that a man, a cow, and a mountain were indeed a man, a cow, and a mountain, but at the same time he saw that the indivisible existence knowledge, the cause of the universe, was gleaming through them. He is present in them, cover is like ordinary thing. Here one word he has added which is important. Indivisible existence consciousness. Akhanda Satchidananda. Because in us also Satchidananda is there, but is Khandita Khandita. The only difference was that its manifestation was more evident in certain things and less evident in others owing to their thinner or thicker veilings of man, cow or mountain. So, Sattva Tamatma covering, but inside Brahman. We therefore heard the Master say, the Master's words on the subject and his vision. Mother peeps through different sheets. Mother has become the prostitute Ramani too. This is Thakur's vision. I see as if all trees, plants, man, cow, grass, Thakur is telling, cow, grass, water are sheets of different kinds. They are like pillowcases. Have you not seen them? Some are made of coarse cotton. Some are made of coarse cotton cloth dyed red. Some of cheese and others of other kinds of cloth. What is this English word? Cheese.
Spelling mistake. Change.
Cheater kapad. Cheater kapad is like a printed cotton. Cheat bole cheat. Technical term. English they have cheats koriche. And others of other kinds of cloth. Some are quadrangular, others are circular. The universe is just so. Again, just as the same thing, namely cotton, is stuffed into all these pillowcases, so that one indivisible existence knowledge place dwells within all the sheets. Man, cow, grass, water, mountain, etc. My children, for me, it is actually as if mother has covered herself with wrappers of various kinds. Mother means Satchidananda. Assumed various forms and is peeping from within them all. I was in a state in which the universe seemed like that. Noticing that state of mind, people could not understand it and came to console and soothe me. Ramlal's mother and others began to weep when I looked at them. Ramlal Thakur's nephew. I saw that the mother showing the Kali temple, it was who had come and appeared so, dressed in various forms. I saw that queer guise and roared with laughter, saying, "Thou hast nicely dressed up thyself." That is so strong it has become. He knew that it is Ramlal's mother, but then that was subjugated. One day I was sitting and meditating on Mother in the Kali temple. I could by no means bring the mother's form to my mind. What did I see then? She looked like the prostitute Ramani, who used to come to bathe in the river, and she peeped from near the jar of worship. I saw it, laughed, and said, "Thou hast the desire, O mother, of becoming Ramani today. That is very good. Accept the worship today in this form." Acting thus, she made it clear that a prostitute also is she. There is nothing else except her. Now, how blessed is that life? On another occasion, I was driving along Mechua Road when I saw that she, dressed beautifully and with ornaments. What is this Mechua Road? Understood? That area in Calcutta where prostitutes live. When I saw that she, dressed beautifully and with ornaments, braided hair, and a small round mark in the middle of her forehead, stood on the veranda smoking tobacco from a hookah set in a socket, and was enticing people in the form of a prostitute. In astonishment, I said, "Art thou here, O mother, in this form?" So, Ramani and this, what is the difference? Ramani used to come to bathe in Ganges, visit mother's temple. Now, here is a pure prostitute. Saying so, I saluted her. Now, Saradananda Swami is commenting, we have completely forgotten to see things and person thus from higher planes of consciousness. How can we therefore understand those experiences of the Master? Only through imagination we have to reach there. The Master's senses, mind and intellect were keener than those of ordinary persons. Non-attachment to enjoyment and pleasure was the cause of it. A contrast between the actions of minds attached and unattached. I told on the first day that ordinary plane also, Master sees much more than us. We have certain likes and dislikes. So our attention is given to those things. And we overlook so many things. In English, there are two words. I saw, but I did not observe. Again, when the Master remained in a normal plane of body consciousness, that is called normal because it is ours, like ourselves. His intellect and power of observation could detect many things and dive deeper than ours. Inasmuch as even now when you see variety, the mind goes deeper to explain them. Inasmuch as even then he had not an iota of the desire for enjoyment and pleasure. That desire makes us attention on particular things. The objects which satisfy the particular strong desire of each of us for attaining pleasure and enjoyment appear in bright colors before our eyes at all times and in every action of ours, eating, drinking, sitting, etc. Eating, our eye goes, which is sweet today, much today. Our minds therefore neglect the things and persons unfavorable to that desire and get attracted to a great extent toward the things mentioned above. We have therefore no opportunity of knowing the nature of the things and persons to so neglected. We thus spend the whole of our lives in making or attempting to make certain things and persons our own. That means attraction, then attachment. This is why people in general are seen to differ so greatly among themselves in the power of acquiring knowledge. So within ordinary people, there is a great difference. I told you the other day that detectives are trained to see more things. Though all of us have the same senses, can we equally apply them to all objects and acquire equal knowledge? Therefore, those of us who have less selfishness and less desire for enjoyment than others can more easily acquire the knowledge of everything outside world also. Example of the keenness of the master's mind. In this chapter, he is telling what master saw. That is going on. So, we are being given master's eyes to see the world. That is the guru of remaining things. It will not be out of place to give here one or two examples to show how strong the power of observation in the master was, even when he was dwelling in the normal plane of consciousness. It is impossible to exaggerate how great an indication of his keen power of observation was noticed in the illustrations, metaphors, etc., generally used by him in explaining intricate spiritual truths. So, his general observation of the world is so strong, and that we could see in the metaphors and illustrations he used. The master used to reveal a glowing picture with the help of each of these, and the hearer would understand that the solution of that intricate problem was possible through those examples. His easy explanation of the Sankhya philosophy, the master and mistress of a house where a marriage is to be celebrated. Ordinary vision, we see this, but we do not detect this. Take, for example, the discussion on the intricate Sankhya philosophy that was going on. Speaking to us of the origination of the universe from Purusha and Prakriti, the master said, Purusha, it says, Sankhya says, is a non-doer. He does nothing. It is Prakriti that does everything. Purusha looks on all the doings of Prakriti as a witness. Prakriti also cannot do anything independently. The audience were indeed sapient scholars. Sapient scholars mean non-scholars. Clerks or accountants in offices or at most doctors, pleaders, deputy magistrates and boys of schools and colleges. That means not philosophers. Therefore, when they heard the master say those words, they stared at one another. Another's face. Observing them, the master continued, do you not remember a marriage house? Sitting and smoking tobacco from a hookah, the master has given orders, and the mistress, obedient to them, is running hither and thither with patches of turmeric color in her sari, supervising everything to see whether this has been finished, whether that has been started, and so on. Welcoming all the lady guests, children and others, and coming up to her husbands from time to time to say to him with the movements of her head and hand, this has been done this way, that way, this will have to be done, that will not be done. The master smokes and listens and gives his assent to everything, saying yes, yes to whatever she says. It is just like that. All laughed to hear the master's words and could also understand the exposition of the Sankhya philosophy. Because the description was such, so they laughed, but they understood. Brahman and Maya are one. the same snake, motionless and motion. So that was Sankhya. Now we come to Vedanta. Afterwards, perhaps, Saradananda Swami has put these incidents together. Came up the topic of the Vedanta. Brahman and his power, Purusha and Prakriti, the words are same, but the meaning is different. Their Prakriti is not Purushas. They are independent. Here, Prakriti is Purusha's power, and Purusha is one without a second. Purusha and Prakriti are identical. That is, they are not two separate entities, but one and the same thing appearing now as Purusha, now as. This is so different from Sankhya. People say how it is Advaita? Because there is not two, either this or that. When this is there, that is not there. Seeing that we could not understand it, the master said, do you know how this is? Take for example a snake. Now in motion, now at rest. When it is lying motionless, it is compared to Purusha. Prakriti is then united with Purusha and has become one with it. Oh, I will tell you certain things. And when the snake is in motion, Prakriti is as it were separated from Purusha and is working. All understood from that picture what was meant and thought, why could we not understand this simple thing? I will tell two incidents. One I simply kept in my mind. You see, now at present, it will be impossible for people to see. In Rishikesh, our kutia is facing the Ganges. We cross the Ganges, then a hill. That hill is not Himalayas, pre-Himalayas. We climb the hill, come down again, climb another hill. And on the top of that, there is Nilkanta Mahadev. Now, when I visited Nilkanta Mahadev, now Nilkanta Mahadev is surrounded by 100 puja shops. There was a big waterfall. I have bathed below it. Now you can't see it. They have put all the water through a big tube. Anyway, so open mandir and only Shiva Linga there. Now if you go, hundreds of images they have put around. So you have to imagine what I saw. So I sat near it. And whatever you may say, meditated or whatever, something was revealed to me. What is a Shiva Linga? You have any idea? If you divide India into two, north and south, throughout north, whether it is Bengal or Maharashtra or UP or anything, they think Shiva Lingam is the generative organ. And in that shape it is kept, that is Yoni or Stri. But this concept does not at all appear in the Tamil Nadu. Absolutely not. Anyway, so what is Shiva Linga? I thought. Now imagine, what is that Nilkanta? You know the story. Now when the Samudra Manthan going on, halal came. They wanted to churn the ocean to get nectar. But before that halal came, the deadliest poison. And if you throw it back in the ocean, it will kill everybody. If it falls on earth, it will kill everybody. So Shiva undertook, I will drink it, so that the world will be safe. So Shiva drank that halal poison. It started burning his body. So he searched for a cool place. And that place, that Nilkanta mountain, very, very cool, very cool. And there was a Jalaprapat. So he stood below it, got little cool, and then sat for meditation. I am telling the story as told by the pujari of that temple. Then what happened? He entered samadhi. That was the only way, as Thakur is telling, he could completely separate himself from the body. Now the poison also will not proceed. Poison had reached the neck. So that became Neel, dark blue. That is the poison color. But by that time he went to the samadhi. Let me complete this story first. Then mother was busy in creating, preserving, destroying the world. So after some 10,000 years, 20,000 years, she saw that Shiva is not with her. Then through meditation she understood Shiva is there. Not she has to wake him up. Calling him from outside, nothing will happen. Now that place is such that it is like a cup. The sun is hardly for 2 hours. Actually, there are 4 different peaks, mountains. So she sat on one of the mountains. Her idea was that she will meditate, go to samadhi, and from there she will bring Shiva back. Now to help her, Rishis, Munis and others, they on the other peak, they sat for meditation. Now she reached that point and woke up Mahadev. That is the story told to me there. I did not know any of these things. But I saw Shiva like that. And now imagine Shiva is sitting. Shaligram is same from all sides. But Shivalanga is not same from all sides. It is a sitting man. Now in Samadhi we are told the organs go back into the body. Actually the organic functions go back in the body. But the example is given of a tortoise. It draws all the limbs in that big sheet. Now Shiva is Shiva. So actually parts of the body have gone in. Hands have gone in. Legs have gone in. But he is sitting. And mark is there. You understand Shiva Linga? What is the meaning of Linga? How these wrong ideas come, everything I will tell. Linga means sign. Sign. The sign that is Shiva. What is the sign that is Shiva? Is in Samadhi. That was very clearly revealed to me. And I looked around and saw Mother is not there. Usually in every Shiva temple you will see either Durga or Kali. Mother is not there. Then another thing was revealed in my mind. That is what he is describing now. That in this condition, Mother is inside Shiva. Only when he will create, when he will become active, then Mother will come out and do. You understood this fact? When Shiva is in Shiva and Shakti are not different. Shiva is in Samadhi. So where is this power, this Shakti? She is inside him. When he will come out of Samadhi, she will come out and create the world. That is what he is describing. Snake coiled and snake moving. Have you understood now? Then I asked the Pujari, there is no mother here. Then he told me the whole story. And then he said, near about 1 kilometer from there, there is a hillock. On that, Mother's temple is there. And he used to go every Tuesday to worship her. And I had gone on Monday. So he said, if you wait, tomorrow I will take you there. I had to stay there because it became dark and I could not come down. So next day he took me to that temple. You understood the whole story now? I remember one more thing. When I told this to Suitananda in training center, he was my friend. He said, yes, yes, yes. We say, Shiver Matha Jal Dala. Always we say we are putting water in Shiva's head. If that is Linga, then how could it be head? Now let me tell how the other meaning has come. In grammar, in Sanskrit grammar, every word is either Pullinga, Strilinga or Napunsakalinga. Every word. So, what is Pullinga? The sign that it is masculine, the sign that. So, Pullinga means what is the sign that he is a man? That linga. That is how it has become associated in our mind with that linga. Erroneously. Another thing, if you see, if the linga enters the yoni, there it is coming out of the yoni in the image. Anyway, Now, the other thing I wanted to tell is Ganesh Maharaj. What he is telling Saradananda, he has beautifully made a poetry, beautiful. Because he belonged to Nath Sampradaya. And Nath Sampradaya believes in Shiva and Shakti. But Ganeshwar had the Advaita knowledge. So through the language of the Nath Sampradaya, he has explained the Advaita. He says that Shiva and Shakti are there. Shiva swallows the Shakti, his description. And then Shiva vomits the Shakti. Then Shakti swallows the Shiva. That means we don't see Shiva when we see the world. And when we see God, we do not see the world. So Dhaneshwar description is like that. Shiva vomits Shakti. Shakti swallows Shiva. And if Shakti vomits Shiva, Shiva swallows Shakti. That is his description. So things are a little more clearer. Now, if Ishwar has Maya, how Ishwar is not bound by Maya, another illustration. Ishwar is not bound by Maya. A snake has poison in its mouth, but it does not die. On still another occasion, perhaps, there was raised the question, perhaps means Saradananda Swami just put these things together for us to understand. There was raised the question, is Ishvara bound by Maya like ourselves? Inasmuch as Maya is his power and exists in him. The master heard it and said, no, my children, though Maya belongs to Ishvara and always exists in him, his power. He is never bound by it. Consider, whoever is bitten by a snake dies. Poison is always there in the mouth of the snake. The snake always takes its food, gulps in saliva with that food, but does not itself die. So his tooth is in use, but he is not dying. It is just like that. All thought it was possible indeed. So what is to be proved here? Possibility of such a thing. When the master dwelt in a normal state of consciousness, the nature of everything, these examples show, could not escape his keen observation. Now we never see that a snake does not die and all that. Even external nature could not keep concealed from his eyes the essential qualities of its changes, let alone human nature. Up to now it is describing human nature, now it is telling external nature. We are of course not speaking of those changes of external nature which can be detected and understood only with the help of instrument. Thakur did not see anything with the help of instruments. But without that, what we can see by our eyes, Thakur could see much more. The master saw exceptional changes in nature and was convinced that God changed his law. What we call law of nature, Thakur calls God has made certain laws. And what we call aberration, Thakur says God has changed his law. Another point to be noted in this connection is that those exceptional changes or manifestations of the external nature that do not generally attract the notice of people were first, as it were, to be the objects of the master of the first means immediately he could see that. Observation, when he remained in the normal plane of consciousness. The Divine Mother placed at all times before the master, that is the language. The uncommon manifestations of nature, the exception to the general law, as if to impress upon his mind the idea that all kinds of manifestations in the world owed their origin to the will of God. In other words, he was the direct controller, God, of the wheels of the destinies of all things and persons in the world. We have no independent will. The world has no independent law. God is controlling the whole world. Difficult for us to believe, but Master saw it. From such events as the Master came across from his childhood, we get the clear meaning of his words. The Lord of laws can at will alter them and make new ones instead. It will not be out of place here to mention a few such events. Told of the lightning conductor, the master related his experience. Lightning struck a hut beside a three-storied house. You know lightning conductor? You see, when the electricity falls from nature, it hits the highest object. So what they do, on the highest point in the neighborhood, they put a metal strip and that connected with the earth directly. One end is inside the earth. So when the electricity comes, it will fall on that and it will go to earth. Building will not be damaged. That is called lightning conductor. We'll see on all tall buildings, lightning conductor. We are charmed to read in our college, college days, a little of the discoveries of modern physics regarding the power of electricity. In our boyish liveliness, one day we raised that topic in the presence of the master, and we are speaking various things to one another. You know this happens? We are sitting with the master, talking with the master, listening to him, but suddenly we start talking with each other. And the master listens. All these are living happened before my eyes. And he calls it boy's liveliness. Observing the repeated utterance of the word electricity, the master expressed curiosity like a boy and asked, well, what are you talking about? What is the meaning of electricity? We laughed to hear the master's pronunciation of that English word like that of a boy. Afterwards, we told him the general laws of electricity. We also told him of the utility of the lightning conductor, that its height should be a little greater than that of the house, inasmuch as the highest point is struck by lightning, and so on. The master listened attentively to all our words and said, but I saw a small shed beside a three-storied house, and the wretched power of the lightning, instead of striking the latter, struck the former. What could this wretched Chala? What have you got to say to this? Can all these things be comfortably, conformably explained? That means always it will happen like this. My children, the law exists by the will of the universal mother and gets reversed again by her will. We tried to explain to the masters the natural laws, but like Mathur Babu, could not find a suitable reply on that occasion. Mathur Babu's incident is different, that will also come. We told the master that the lightning was attracted toward the three-storied house, but it struck the shed because as its course was suddenly deflected by an unknown cause. We tried to explain as aberration. Unknown cause, that we do not know. We continue to say that although one or two exceptions were seen, lightning struck the highest points in thousands of other places and so on. But the master never accepted this statement that the events of nature took place according to an inviolable laws. He said, let us take for granted that lightning behaves in thousands of places in the way you say, but as there are a few exceptions, the law, it is clear, loses its uniformity. It is no more a law then. Now that Mathur incident is coming. He saw a white China rose flower on a red China rose. What is China rose? The Java Kusum. Jasmine. Not jasmine, huh? Jasmine is Mogra. Baleful in Bengal. There where the botanists have recorded exceptions to the production of white or red flowers in the case of plants that generally produce either of them only. But they are so uncommon that it is no exaggeration to say that an ordinary man has never seen them. Look at an event of the master's life. We already had this incident regarding Mathur. So here in short is that. At the very time of the controversy between the master and Mathur Babu on the proposition that laws of nature are not invariable but are changed by the will of God, an exception came to the notice of the master and was shown to Mathur Babu. From uncommon events in nature arose the conviction of the master that the whole universe was the playground of the mother of the universe. Laws and everything, mother's play. Okay. She makes her rules place, she changes her rules and plays another. Thus the master saw a living stone. Here the expression is not completed, so footnote is given. Asked about it, the author said, the master saw a stone jump from the one place to another. Understood this point? So we think it is a stone, it will not move. Now in the modern science, inside every stone, inside every matter, these are proton and electron moving in space, empty space. He saw the coccyx of the human body elongate itself a little and shrink to its natural length afterwards. That is about himself. Huh? You understand this? When he practiced Dasya, he took Hanuman as his ideal. So his coccyx grew like the tail. And they asked where it is now. He said, when that bhav was gone, it has gone inside. And he met with gods and ghosts. We do not see them, but he saw both gods one side and ghosts. You could have cheated. Oh, oh, English translation is hopeless, right? That is why the doubt has come. Oh, वही जीवंत प्रस्तर देखा. Livingstone. Livingstone is there, na? This translation is not wrong. My reading was not correct. Livingstone, so it jumped. Then Merudandar we have seen. You see, certain things for the taste of English reading people have been dropped in the English translation. Let me tell something from the Bengali. I will read the Bengali sentence first. स्त्री भावेर प्राबल्ये पुरुष शरीर के स्त्री शरीर न्याय यथा काले सामान्य भावे पुष्पित होते देखा होते एवं परे वही भावेर प्रबलता कमिया जाइले वह रहित होया जाइते देखा. अंडरस्टूड? पुष्पित होते देखा. Are the women have menstruation 3 days in a month? You know that. The blood oozes. Now when Thakur was practicing Sakhi Bhav, Madhur Bhav, blood oozed from the lower part of his body and he had to wear a cowpin for some days. But when that Bhav went away, it never happened again. That they are not translated in English. And then and that doubt came because of that other thing and I got so many things. प्रेत योनि देव योनिगत पुरुष सक्रिय संदर्शन. What is preta yoni? That means a man dies, but he does not get the gross body again. So he lives in the subtle body. We call such a phenomenon as ghost. And we think ghost never exists, we have never seen it. But when Thakur had gone to Gopalma's house in Kamarati, he saw two ghosts. Then he said Dev Yoni, demigods, Bhairav. We are reading Totapuri's connection. So Thakur said, yes, he talks to me. So Thakur could easily see these things. So we are at the first sentence now. Thus the master saw a living stone, that means jumping stone. He saw the coccyx of the human body elongate itself a little and shrink to its natural length afterwards. And he met with that missing other part is lady's body. And he met with gods and ghosts. Now here gods is not correct. Anyway, call him a god. Deva Yoni, type of god, demigod they call it. This gave me the doubt and I got so many things. We heard of all these and of many more events of the Master's life. In imitation of the West, we don't know what it is, we just imitate. In imitation of the West, we have come to the conclusion that nature, the creatrix of the world, is insentient, like the Sankhya, and absolutely destitute of the power of intelligence, consciousness. We therefore remain satisfied with calling those exceptional events natural aberrations and think that we understood all the laws of which the nature is regulated. This is the peculiar thing. In science, after some 20, 30, he made another breakthrough. He goes on changing the theory. The master's conviction was of a different nature. He was conscious that the whole of the external and the internal nature was nothing but the sport of the living universal mother, immediately known. Sport of the living universal mother, immediately known. Understood this conception? For him, mother was not an imagination, mother was living, and he could experience that through that approach. So immediately known to him, the living mother. He therefore looked upon these exceptional events as the productions of our particular desires. It does not need to be stated that on account of this. Now the effect. It does not need to be stated that on account of this conviction, the master's mind had much more peace and bliss than ours. If not anything else, that means one particular effect is there, peace and bliss. We have mentioned a few such instances of the master's life before, and we will do so later on. So examples he given now, like the master knew from a higher plane of consciousness the amount of the power manifested and solidified as it were in any particular place. Now we'll take it up tomorrow. New topic. Generally is going on. Now how much God is manifested, how much the Shakti is manifested, that he could observe. Finally, what it will come upon, Master saw that he is a unique person. Anyway. Om Sarvadharmastapakasvam Sarvadharmaswarupakah Acharyanam Acharyo Ramakrishnaya Te Namaha. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Harihi Om Tat Sat. Sri Ramakrishna Arpanamastu.